Susteren, Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman Jim Jordan joins me. Nice to see you, sir. And
good to be with you,
this exemption. It's this exemption, antitrust exemption, that allows them to, you need a PhD in math from MIT to find the game, and then you need to have a trust fund or marry a billionaire to pay for it. So what's up? What are you going to do?
Well, you're right, and they have antitrust relief, and they have it from 1961, the Sports Broadcasting Act, because the argument was, and it's a valid argument, the argument was, oh, if you negotiate individually in the marketplace, New York, Chicago, LA are going to get better deals, and it'd be tough on Cleveland, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh, who are also part of the NFL. It'd be tough on them to actually garner the revenue, have the kind of team you need to have competition and parity and have the league. And so they came to Congress and they got this exemption from the antitrust law. Okay, fine. And what happened in 1961 is it was given for broadcasting, which is frankly just about all we had then. But today there's streaming, there's cable, there's satellite. It's a whole different universe. And the question is, do we need to relook at this? And when you think about the complexity as was described in what we said in the committee, and the cost, it probably costs $1,000 a year if you do not live in the market of your team and you want to watch your team that you grew up watching. It gets real difficult.
Well, this is something special that the taxpayers have given the NFL over the years through Congress. It's something special and good for them because we like football. It's a national sport.
Sure.
However, it's like, and I know it's mind-boggling to me that Roger Goodell, who doesn't even put his life at risk on the field, gets $65 million a year. So I'm not so sure why they need all this special stuff. I haven't seen anybody starving in the football industry, but I see American people who give them this special exemption, taking it on the chin.
Yeah. We give them the ability to form a cartel and negotiate as a cartel. We did so back in '61 because that made sense when there was 3 networks covering, sports and television. It's a little different situation today. To add to what you just described, in '61, in constant dollars, inflation-adjusted dollars, each of the 14 teams in the NFL at that time got like $4 million. Today, each of the 32 teams gets $432 million. So they went from $4 million to $432 million to 32 teams. $500 million. That's how big these contracts are. And all we're saying is let's remember the fan and see if there's some things we need to adjust here, and we'll continue to do our work.
Why didn't Roger Goodell want to show up and talk to you and explain why he thinks it's still a good idea to have this special deal for the NFL?
Great question. They're in the middle of litigation. And remember, the jury actually sided with the fans and said the NFL owes the class a lot of money. And then that was overturned on some kind of technical, the experts used in the case weren't appropriate, that the judge overturned that. So they're in litigation, and that's the main reason I think he didn't want to come, is they're in the middle of litigation. But we'll see. We'll see where we go from here.
All right.
And then the other issue is they've made a change now that's going to make it, I think, difficult on the tavern owners, the restaurant owners, and how they offer the package in their bars and restaurants, which fans, enjoy going to the restaurant and watching their team on sports there.
All right, we have 30 seconds left. This is random. What do you think about the Chicago Bears if they move to Indiana?
George Halas, what's George Halas going to say? I mean, George Halas
he'd be so upset.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense. What are we going to call them, the Indiana Bears or the Chicago Bears? So it just doesn't make sense. But, I'll leave that to Pritzker and all the folks in Chicago.
Yeah, well, I don't like to admit this publicly, but with all we Packer fans hate the Bears, but George Halas, who owned the Bears, saved the Packers when they were in big money trouble.
You're the fan I described. You're the Packer fan now. You're in D.C., not in Dallas, but you're the fan I described. That could have been Greta Van Susteren. I should have put that in there. I should have read Greta Van Susteren wants to watch the Packers.
There you go. And she doesn't have that PhD in mathematics from MIT, so she can find the games.
But she's a good lawyer. She's a good lawyer and good on hosting her show. So anyway, thanks, Greta. Good to be with you.
Hey.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.